shares. Okay, cool. Matthias, welcome back.
Never misses a session, hè, Matthias?
That's awesome.
Je bent altijd van de partij, hè?
Tell me when, Zwie, tell us when we're good to go, huh? Either.
Yeah, it's live.
Yeah, we're there.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Welcome back, everybody, to the Osaka Digital Hub, your #1 spot for all things hockey. Today, we have actually a really cool and really relevant to today. We have a really relevant session, and we're talking about personal branding. And I think in these days of hockey, with hockey changing so much, and especially with the situation we're in, there's no more important time than digital connection and digital the digital community. So we have a great group of people with us today. So I hope we can get a really nice session out of it and learn a lot. That's the idea. So first of all, I'm going to go and introduce Laura. Laura, welcome to the Hub.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
Really cool to have you here. Now, tell us, Laura, you've a lot of experience in this field.
Yeah, so to say, indeed. So I work, first of all, in marketing. So my 9-to-5 job is being a brand manager for a global FMCG brand, where I do the marketing for Belgium and Luxembourg. And then on the side, I also started my own company around personal branding and coaching others to empower them to build an influential brand, mainly on Instagram. So definitely up in my alley.
Super cool. Okay, we definitely look forward to getting some information out of you later. We also have some people all the way from South Africa. We have Jess. Hey.
Hey guys.
Hey, maybe a little introduction, Jess, so everyone knows who you are.
Okay, so I'm Jess. I'm from South Africa. I live in a province called KwaZulu-Natal, in a town called Durban, and we are the most chilled people you'll ever meet over here. I play for the South African indoor side, and yeah, you know, we, like I said, we play hockey because we love it over here. It's not a profession for us. We don't get paid for it. And during my days, like Donn, who she'll tell you now, we pretty much train. We work sometimes. I pretend to work and then train again, and that's about it at the moment. So yeah, very chilled, and yeah.
Sounds exciting.
I wish I could make it more exciting. Sorry.
It's very chilled. That's nice.
Yeah.
Hey Donna, how are you? Tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Donna, and I also live in KwaZulu-Natal, Durban, same as Jessica. And yeah, I play hockey, but I also studied at Varsity College, and I did a degree in communications, and then I did honors in brand communications and brand management. And then pretty much after that, because hockey, like Jess said, isn't really a professional sport, we don't get paid for it, but we still have to like have our full days free so that we can play. So then I started my own business called Double Tap Studios, where I basically work with brands, and yeah, I kind of do content creation for them, but at the same time do a lot of blogging and branding, brand management, as well as build websites. So a bit of everything in terms of marketing. Yeah, so personal branding for me kind of developed as I did more with my own business. But other than that, like Jess said as well, we wake up, we run, we come home, we work, and then we train again. So for now, it's been a bit boring, but yeah, getting on with it.
Okay, cool. Okay, nice. Welcome, huh?
Thank you.
Ryan, how are you doing? Ryan is all the way in Germany.
I'm fine, thank you, Stephen. I'm Ryan, I'm from the Netherlands, and I'm a field hockey coach in Germany. I moved here 3 years ago. I used to go to university and I studied communication sciences, and I majored in journalism studies. So therefore I have an itch for social media. And I figured out a couple of years ago that as a coach or as a player trying to connect with other players, it could come in quite handy to make a personal plan on how you want to present yourself online. Mm-hmm. And then after meeting my girlfriend a couple of years, I got tired of being the Insta boyfriend, holding the bags and taking all the pictures. And then living abroad, it's also fine to show people that you were there at the same spot as well.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, hey, welcome, huh? And thanks for joining us this evening. Tyler.
Hi, my name is Hila. I study at the University of the Witwatersrand. I'm currently studying journalism, and I've taken up the hobby of photography since a young age. I play hockey as well. I also play hockey for the university. So I've been involved in both for a large portion of my life. I've recently become involved with a brand by my sister. She is actually a national player and she's sponsored by the brand. So we've been increasing our content creations and doing the things that we can to create as much content for Osaka World and Osaka Hockey South Africa. Otherwise, about myself on the daily at the moment, I've just been in lockdown, trying to pass my course at the moment. I'm in third year, so it's a little bit tense. But otherwise, yeah, gym and schoolwork, and that's about it.
Cool. Okay, nice. Welcome, huh? Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, Laura, we're going to start with you. Okay, so we obviously have about, I don't know, about 200 players, sponsored players. I told you before this that we get a huge amount of requests from athletes to become an ambassador. Tell us, what does it take to be an ambassador and what should people be looking for?
I think, and that's also me even speaking as a brand manager, because I completely also understand obviously Osaka's point of view. Also, when they sponsor people, I'm a bit in the same position in my 9-to-5 job, is that for a brand, it's really important to find people that really, first of all, have an impact on their audience so that they build their own tribe. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have millions of followers or even thousands of followers, but it does mean that you have to work on building a community with people that resonate with your journey. So I think as when you're a hockey player and you want to get sponsored by brands and you really want to grow your influence in that sector, find out for yourself what it is that you really want out of it and what value that you can give to others, and share your journey online and just get started, and make sure that when people reach out to you that you answer, and that you really build a two-way communication street where people know that you could sort of even be their friend, right? They know who you are, they understand the journey that you're on, and they can resonate with that. So I think that's really important to build a personal brand as a player, because in the end, brands want to work with people that also obviously will resonate with their brand, first of all, but second of all, also, of course, be some sort of marketing tool in a way, right? So that is something that you also can work on as yourself as an athlete, and that can definitely help you in developing your sports career. So yeah, I think that would be the main thing.
I mean, as a brand, of course, we want the consumers to think that we're cool. Huh? We want
yes,
that. But
cool. Yeah.
Like everything, if you say that you're cool yourself, it's not cool. So
No.
if
But being cool is also not what everyone thinks is cool. I think being cool can also be about sharing your mess ups and sharing the fact that you lost the game, right? It can be a lot of things. I think today people are looking for real people on the internet. They want to connect with people that are authentic to themselves. So I think if you're getting started with social media, you don't have to think, oh my God, I'm going to be someone else on Instagram. No, just be yourself and do some soul searching and be like, okay, what am I good at? What can I teach others? What am I even bad at? And laugh with it and even share that also, that can be a music in a way. So I think it's important to understand that everyone's on a journey and that you don't need to be an expert at everything, but that people mainly resonate with people that are on a journey and that report that, and that people find that actually more inspiring than someone that is pretending to know everything and be perfect at everything, right?
Yeah, so open, honest connection grows a community. I was saying,
Yes.
from our point of view, of course, we want to be represented by talented individuals, by athletes, that people that create their own community. That's what we look for as a brand.
Yes.
When a player approaches us, often, and because of the sport that we're in, like we spoke about, relatively, I don't know if the athletes can get enough support in this topic. I don't know. Sometimes we seem to think that they don't sometimes even know what to do or where to start. So can we take a step back and maybe you can tell us if you're a young promising athlete, or if you're an athlete already, so you've already talked about obviously open and being honest and creating, maybe you can start from the beginning so we can.
I think in the beginning, it's important to understand a bit what your purpose is with that social media platform. What is your why? Why are you starting this? And what do you want to get out of it? And once you understand that, the rest will kind of become clear, because if you know that you want to inspire young hockey players to be more passionate about hockey, for example, then you know who you're talking to, and you will also realize that, okay, to really sound interesting to this person, this is the kind of content, the kind of videos, pictures, but even a quote or a nice caption that I can make that will inspire these people, attract them, and also just kind of resonate with your journey, right? Because people today are looking for value. Creating content doesn't mean just making it all about you. It's actually mainly, if you really want to be an influencer in a way, and have people follow you and for a reason, right? Then it's all about providing value. I mean, if you are going to follow someone on Instagram, you probably have a reason why you follow that person. It's maybe for their travel tips, maybe it's for their fashion tips, maybe it's because they're a great hockey player and you love the way they, I don't know, I'm not a hockey expert, but the way they do a certain trick, for example. And that's the reason that you follow that person. And make sure that you understand for yourself also kind of what your hook is, what is a bit that you can share with others. That could be that one reason why people want to follow you. I can, for example, imagine for Taylor, you're really great at photography. I can imagine people would follow you because they're inspired also by your creativity and the way you can bring things to life through your photography. So, I mean, yeah, Taylor, you can probably say that better yourself, but hearing your story, I think that would be relevant.
Yeah, I would hope that would happen. Sometimes I think that it's important to just be yourself through your platform, and what inspires you somewhere around the world will also inspire someone else. And I think that that's what's so amazing about being human, being different, being creative, and producing good creative content. And I think that that's what's so good about Osaka World and Osaka Hockey, is that they give you such a good platform to do that and to be expressive of yourself and where you put your clothes on and where those clothes take you. And that's a really cool journey to express.
Really cool. Yeah, definitely. And maybe talking about starting this whole journey, maybe Donn, do you also want to share how you got started? Because you're actually quite big on Instagram and you know a lot about marketing. So maybe you can share a bit how your journey was to put yourself out there in the beginning.
I think I said it earlier, but it always is quite scary to decide whether you're going to try and become an influencer or whatever it is, because I don't think I really made that decision, or if I am anything close to an influencer. But yeah, I think maybe trying to get a friend involved. So initially, when I was first sponsored, I don't think there were many girls that were sponsored by soccer. I couldn't really run over to the men's team and pull a guy over and ask him to have a photo with me. But then eventually, when more girls got added to the soccer team in South Africa, then it became a lot easier to develop content together and come up with cool ideas, and then obviously take photos and then go and have photos taken of you. So it became more of like a fun experience rather than I'm trying to create something that's not really real. Whereas if you then afterwards, when we have taken the photos, we have captions and we've all kind of come together to create something for soccer, and not just, you know, decide, okay, well, I need to force this. It's kind of already done, the creative process. So yeah, that's kind of how I started, is I grabbed a friend and pulled her in and said, let's do this. So yeah, I'd say that.
Definitely. And I think that's really good to get other people involved and also get you more comfortable in front of the camera and even make it into something fun to do in the end, right? Because you can be creative together. And Jess, how was your experience with getting started on Instagram?
Okay, so I'm still like on the bottom of the ladder compared to I'm still like trying to make my way up there. But yeah, so like I said, my Instagram put like back in the day, I'm like embarrassed about, like if people stalk me, I say sorry. But like the more that I like got out there in South Africa, the more I was like, okay, like people like are influenced by me, and they do like follow my Instagram and they comment on my photos and stuff. So mine was like I do it for me, definitely. Like my Instagram is for me, and it's like what I love. Like I love my friends, food. Like it's all about that type of
Yes.
stuff. But it's also like people do follow me and they do like my photos. So like I do want to create something that like they will also like, and that's something that inspires them as well. So that's how I'm going up my ladder, just with stuff like that.
It's cool, but it's very much about your personal journey, right? It's just natural and sharing that, and I'm sure people actually find that more inspiring. And that's also the thing, right? I mean, you're a hockey player, but the people that follow you have a broad range of interests. They definitely like hockey, but they might also be interested in the recipe that you made yesterday, and that was a healthy, I don't know, a healthy snack or something, right?
Yeah. That's also me. Like I'm super interested in hockey, but I do have other things,
Yeah.
like other interests. So it's nice to show all of that.
That's just you being real. One of the things that we notice from a brand point of view is that actually the females are doing quite well at the personal branding. But we notice that some of the males, not all of them, we do have some really top players who are doing really well in their social and personal branding. But Ryan, maybe you can tell us from a male point of view how you went from behind the lens to in front of the lens.
Yeah, and Instagram girlfriends.
Yeah. So when we met, my girlfriend was really living the influencer life. But when you're coaching or you're playing at a high level, like every game, there's going to be pictures taken, and it's usually in every group that you're in with your team, the album gets uploaded, and everyone's taking their share of pictures, and everyone's sharing that on their social media platform.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty cool to also do with my coaching, and then moving abroad. I felt I could give an insight in the journey that I'm taking as a human being or as a coach, living abroad and then doing all this hockey stuff. It's a certain threshold that you have to get over because you're very self-conscious, because you always get remarks made about it by people from the team or other guys. But at the start, I only shared a lot of hockey pictures, and I was like, well, it's not like that's everything I'm doing, and I don't want to be this advertisement. So and then I decided to just focus on a couple of things that inspire me, that fascinate me, and that's all I pretty much share right now.
Yeah, from following your Instagram, what I see, Ron, I think it's pretty cool that you're on the coaching side, so like the other side of the thing, and that you're sharing your story as a young up and coming coach, and you're also it's also quite an exciting journey. Yeah, I mean, you're having a great experience in Berlin there, and I think it's really good content because it's good, and like you said, Laura, like a good honest content.
Yeah, I actually find it very also impressive that you do this, even though indeed not a lot of men do it, but I think that is also a very powerful tool in a way. The fact that there's not a lot of guys doing this, I'm sure that a lot of men will also then look at you and be like, wow, he's just doing it. That's really cool. And in the end, it is not that hard. It's about actually posting that picture and sharing your story. There's nothing girly about that at all, but it's a shame that there's this kind of misconception maybe or stigma around that. But I think it is even more powerful that you are a bit in this blue ocean where not that many men are doing it, and you can even be more of an influencer in a way, I would say, by doing that. So I would definitely recommend a lot of guys to hop on Instagram and start creating content, because I'm sure there's a lot of brands out there that are looking for that as well, because there's a lot more females doing it, meaning that you have even more opportunity as a guy.
Yeah, there you are, Ryan.
So yeah, that's actually really great.
There was something, Laura, you touched on, and it kind of, because I just want to go back to it, and you talked about purpose, and it's something that we talk about as a brand a lot, and something that we really want to focus on as a brand.
Yeah.
A purpose for personal branding. Can you go into a bit more detail into that?
Yeah, purpose is basically for me the start of your personal brand, right? Like finding out for yourself what is your purpose, what drives you, what is it that you want to bring. For example, I know for me that I'm all about empowering other people to get themselves out there on social media and building a brand. That is my purpose. That is something that I get satisfaction from, and that is something that I personally, for example, live by. But that purpose is different for everyone. But that purpose is also what I think is a North Star of your brand, because that is what ultimately will make people click that follow, for example, like I said before, and make you follow them, because that's that one thing that is going to be your hook, and that is going to keep people be like, okay, that is something, she really touched me on this thing that really speaks to me, and I want to see more of that. So I think, yeah, really finding out what your purpose is to ultimately create value to people is really important, because today Instagram is not like it was 3 years ago, that is just about posting pretty pictures. Today you can post a bathroom selfie and no one really cares if you have a story behind it and if it adds something to someone. So I think that authenticity is so important, but it starts from also knowing for yourself what it is that you're trying to do with your personal brand. It's a bit even what Ryan said in the beginning, right? Like using it as your pitch, right? It's a bit how you would pitch yourself to people, but then through a more visual experience, and through obviously then the captions and how you convey that into your Instagram.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's very good. I think that's some good, some really useful advice. What about now? It's kind of what about offline personal branding, because it's something that we discussed before with athletes. And athletes, you're in a position, of course, to come in contact with.
Yeah.
Well, not at the moment, but normally come in contact with a lot of your fans. What about offline branding?
I think, I mean, if you ask me, I think it has to be the same person online and offline. You have to be 100% yourself. You cannot afford to try to be someone on Instagram that you're not, because then when people meet you, they're going to be either disappointed or either really happy. But anyway, it's not going to be in line with what you were showing on the internet. And that doesn't work, right? I mean, I really genuinely believe that you should always stick to your guns and be like yourself, and just kind of embrace that as well. I think there's something really powerful about embracing
You
that.
look at some of the biggest sports influencers in the world, I don't know, like Cristiano Ronaldo, and you hear the offline content that's picked up that he doesn't talk about. And it's kind of what we talk about as a brand, that we don't want to talk about being cool, that we want other people to talk about us being cool.
Yeah.
That content's picked up of like stories of, oh, Cristiano Ronaldo did this and did that, and he doesn't talk about it himself. And that's what I'm sort of getting to, as in, you need to be able to follow the line. I'm watching the documentary, of course, on Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, and he talks about it as well a lot. He talks about his personal brand, in that he knows that he must perform on the court. That's his thing. He wants to be the best player. He talks about performing on the court. If he doesn't perform on the court, then he's not Michael Jordan. Nobody's interested, you know.
Yeah.
And it's something that something that we've been looking at as a brand, is like the offline activations, because there's so much online at the moment, and how important is an offline activation. I guess with Carlsberg, you're also involved in these offline activations.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would even say there's more offline than online, even for us.
Yeah.
Definitely. But I also think, in a way, these people, these celebrities, right, like these very big football players or basketball players, they're also often famous for their backstory and for their story, where they come from. And that is also something that I find so powerful. And that's why I'm saying just be yourself, because let's say in 5 years, like you're, I don't know, world champion of hockey. Well, it's super nice for those people that followed that whole journey. And that is what I find super powerful, because people will really follow you for who you are, and will find it even more inspiring to see, like, whoa, they went from here to there. They didn't show up one day and they were the best of the world. They put the work in, they built their brands, they built their skill set, and I think that journey is so powerful and is what actually makes true fans in a way. So yeah, I think all these famous people, they have a backstory that they're known for, and that is what people also find so inspiring.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. And what about inspiration? Because that's something that when I know that I've spoken to a few athletes, and they're like, yeah, but I need inspiration. I don't know what to post about, or I don't know what to talk about. Donna, Jess, Ryan, do you have any tips for anyone who's watching or listening on where the inspiration is coming from?
Okay, so I'll start. So I think that I can't deny the fact that I do get inspiration from other people. I can't say that I don't look at other people and I'm inspired, because I am. So I do take like bits and pieces from other people that I think are so cool. Like they're standing on a rock, and they look amazing. I'm like, I want to stand on a rock and try to make. I do try to take things from different people, but then at the same time I try like put my own twist on it, so then other people can be inspired by me and like what my little twist is. So yeah, I do get it from other sources, I'm not gonna lie, but then I just add what I want to inspire people with, so that if they look at me, they get inspiration from what my point is.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And Donn, how is it for you?
I think it's the same. I think also being in the like online industry and always scrolling through my phone, if it's not on my account, it's on somebody else's account, I think like it's important to get inspiration from people, but like Jess said, not copy, because I think then you just become like everybody else. So yeah, I think pulling from different not influencers, but also different brands, and finding what works for you, but also what's current and what's trending. So yeah, I think I would agree with Jess.
Yeah. And do you use tools like Pinterest or so to get inspiration?
Yeah, definitely. Pinterest is my best friend. I also search hashtags a lot on Instagram for other brands. So then it leads me to do a bit of that sort of tracking for myself as well. So yeah, I would probably suggest Pinterest. And there's also a cool site called Unsplash, which I use for high resolution images. So I mean, if that's, sometimes I come across something there that I can use in my own personal brand. But yeah, probably those three things I would suggest.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of Unsplash, for example, a very big trend on Instagram right now is shareable content. That means that you can share a quote, it can be a print screen of a Twitter post, it can be a meme, a cartoon, or literally you writing a story on your iPhone or Android phone in your notes and print screening that. So meaning this is content that is really easy to make, but that's the content that is driving Instagram today. Why? Because it's not just about, hey, look at me, I'm pretty on a rock. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you look pretty on a rock, no offense. But it's also about the fact that you are sharing your story or sharing something funny or insightful, and that people can share that. People will see that and they'll be like, I resonate with that. For example, you talk about a feeling that you had after winning a game, and people that understand that feeling will see that quote and be like, oh yeah, I definitely want to show that to my audience as well. So they will share that to their story or send that to their friends. But that's how you grow your Instagram today. So even if you say, I don't really want to be in front of the camera, you can even start with using websites like Unsplash for inspirational pictures, or going on a design website called Canva. That's Canva. Super easy tool. It's free, and you can make your own quote post or share something that you want to share, or just go in your notes on your phone and print screen that and share that as well. So you can make content in so many ways. Just want to put that out there because that's a very big trend, and that's something very easy to jump on as well.
Okay, that's really good advice. That's really solid advice. I have a question. Time, right? Social media takes a lot of time. I see it. My wife has a children's brand. She's incredible on her social media, but she's busy with it all the time. How much time is okay, and how much time do you need to devote to your own personal brand?
That's personal. Should I answer that, or one of the players maybe? Because I spend more time on it maybe than most of you. So, for example, Ryan, how much time do you spend on Instagram, and how do you perceive that?
Wow, that's a very good question. Like, I have to be honest about the last question. I don't really take that much inspiration from different websites. The main thing for me is that it has to be recent. So I only share stuff that's happening. Like, I don't really do the latergrams that often. And mainly just look at how my wall is looking. So
Yeah.
it's probably not going to be like 3 close-up pictures or only hockey pictures if you look at it.
Yeah.
So that's how I go about posting pictures. And that means that if you see a picture of, or you're feeling some way at a certain moment, you try to make it match and then you upload it. I think it can be very time consuming if you plan it too much, but you might also lose the authenticity with that.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
Very true. Taylor, how do you perceive that? Do you spend a lot of time on Instagram?
I definitely do spend a lot of time on social media. I think that it's important though to get downtime, to spend time with the people around you. And that's also where I gain a lot of my inspiration for my content as well, is by looking at the things around me and from my family and seeing nature and literally little things like walking in a park, especially as a photographer, things that catch your eye. They definitely inspire you to take a picture or to be more creative, more innovative. And I think it's important that when you use social media as a platform, it's important to portray real life as well. And you can't portray real life if you're just stuck in your phone looking at other people's realities. So for me, that it's extremely important to do both. And that's where I gain my inspiration from and try to bring the real life to my little screen.
Definitely. And maybe also an important one, because Ryan talked about it before, about like making sure that your feed actually looks quite nice, you know, that you have not the same picture 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
What apps or what kind of recommendations would you give for you to keep some sort of aesthetic and also some sort of personal brand, right? Because you have a certain way of taking a picture and maybe editing it to kind of stay consistent with your brand.
So I use this app. It's actually called Grid. And it's actually very convenient in arranging what you've posted and what you're about to post. And that can give you a good aesthetic when you're posting so that things look pleasing to the people who visit your feed, because I think that that's what Instagram is about. Also, it's looking visually aesthetic on like from all spectrums. And otherwise, I use apps to edit like VSCO or Visco.
Visco, yeah.
I use that. I do use the Premiere Pro version, but the freer version is also quite nice. And I also use Lightroom a lot. That really helps to keep things like consistent and
definitely
fix your exposure. Maybe you take a picture and it doesn't come out the way you wanted it to. So that's really cool.
Definitely. And Donn, I see you nodding. Do you use similar apps?
I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I think that I sometimes have to remind myself, okay, it's fine, just post it, especially with managing other brands as well. I spend lots of time like rearranging feeds. I use an app called Preview and Planoly just because you can schedule the posts, which helps for other brands, not really my content. But yeah, I just have to also remind myself not to spend too much time on it, because like you guys were saying, you do kind of lose your authenticity. So you kind of lose the feeling you had when you took the photo or when you're about to post it if you spend too much time rearranging or adding another one before that one, swapping it around. So yeah, I think being a perfectionist isn't the best when you're trying to post so many photos and make it look good. But yeah, just a reminder to keep that authenticity and the look consistent.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I think perfectionism, it's interesting that you talk about that, because it's something that I also struggle with. But there's one thing that I do always then remind myself, and that could be maybe interesting to you as well, is that in the end, there's no use in perfectionism, because it's going to be the number one thing keeping you from actually getting started. Because especially, I mean, obviously you're already big on Instagram and doing it, but I'm especially thinking of people that are just getting started, right? If you're thinking, oh yeah, I'm not going to start with Instagram because I don't know how to do it, and it's not going to be perfect, and it's not going to be like the perfect feed and all of that, well, that's perfectly fine. Just if you're gonna try to get it perfect and read everything about all the apps that you need to edit and all the ways to make it look visually pleasing and have the whole hashtag strategy perfect and whatever there is, then you're probably not really gonna get started, right? And that's actually the number one mistake, because if you want to start something and be entrepreneurial and start something new, then it's just better to get it out there and also learn along the way. So it's perfectly fine to not have the perfect Instagram from day one. It's like Jess said in the beginning, right? Like the Instagram of your past is something that you're like, oh, I'm sorry, but that's fine. You know, that's how you learned to become better at it as well, right? So just also want to put that out there, that it's perfectly fine to not have everything perfect. I think getting it out there is a lot more important. And that's also a shout out to all the guys that are scared to put themselves on Instagram. Just get out there and learn along the way and learn to deal with those comments maybe that you'll get in the beginning. But who knows, you'll build a very powerful brand out of that and get really great partnerships and build your own community and tribe. So I think there's a lot more to gain than to lose.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Something else from a brand point of view that we look for is along the lines of social responsibility and your responsibility as an athlete. I mean, in a role of being an influencer, or at least being an ambassador, whether you have 1,000 followers or 100,000 followers, you do have a social responsibility towards the people who you're an ambassador for, and also towards yourself as a brand. Laura, do you have any advice for people on that? Or like as a brand, when you're looking at an ambassador, or when you're giving people advice, what would you say to them?
But you mean responsibility in which way? Because I'm now thinking of all like football athletes drinking and driving and stuff. So how do you mean exactly? Just so I'm sure I understand your question.
Yeah, it's quite a broad topic, but if you see from from a brand's point of view, we want to be represented. If we sponsor a player like the athletes here, they represent what we stand for as a brand.
Yes.
And I believe that they need to be aligned. And the moment that they don't become aligned with a brand, I think it becomes what you spoke about before. The value goes away. The honesty is away. You know, and I think some of the younger athletes maybe don't understand that, or maybe you have some advice for them on how they go about or how they think about these things, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, I think because talking about the social responsibility part, for sure. I mean, first of all, you're on the internet, so be a bit smart still about what you put on there, because everyone's watching, and that means your mom, but also brands. So definitely make sure that what you put out there are things that you are proud of and things that you want people to associate you with. So if that's drinking a lot, then maybe that's not the best for your future as an athlete, right? So definitely be smart about that, I would say. And then about providing value, I think for brands, the number one thing that they look for is obviously people that have a story to tell and that have a real influence, and how you build that. And that goes back to a bit that purpose and that why is by providing an answer to maybe even pain points of people, right? Like they're going to come to your profile and they're going to be like, I want to learn about this, and you're going to be that answer, right? And if you are that answer, that's for me a real influencer. It's not just someone that takes pretty pictures, it's someone that has a real influence on people's life because they provide value. And that means that if now that person will buy an Osaka hockey stick, that everyone will be like, oh my God, I want an Osaka hockey stick, because that guy really, for me, that's my example, because I see him as the person that, you know, teaches me how to do this or that. And yeah, I want to be like that person. That's an example, right? That's someone you look up to. And I think that's just also really important to keep in mind, that in the end, you have a responsibility as an influencer to provide value to others. And that is, for me, real influence. And that is what makes brands be attracted to you.
Yeah. And then another side to that, your responsibility as a brand, if you are sponsored by a brand, then you don't go, for example, posting pictures with
Another brands. No, of course, that's like the number one rule. You cannot expect to work with 3 brands on the same exact thing. Like you have to make a choice. And when you choose about which brands to work for, make sure that that brand really fits you as an individual as well. Because I mean, I'm a bit of an influencer, so to say, on Instagram myself, and I have a lot of brands reaching out that I never say yes to, because when you think about it, that small compensation is not really worth you giving up your identity in a way, right? Because Instagram is in a way your elevator pitch, like Ryan said, or it is even some sort of business card, and it is even your personal brand, and in a way then your personality. And I know, for example, that I am not a fan of all those detox teas and whatever, but I have gotten at least 20 brands already asking me to try their skinny mint tea or detox tea to lose weight by drinking tea. And I'm like, no, thank you. I do not want to influence people in only drinking tea and not eating food. And that is a responsibility you have to take for yourself. Yes, it's maybe nice to be paid by that brand, but you're going to lose your entire credibility by maybe taking on that partnership and not staying true to yourself. So definitely super important when you pick brands to work with, or in general, what you put online, make sure that that is in line with who you are as a person, because in the end, also, let's be fair, you have your friends and maybe family on social media as well. They'll look at it and be like, why is that person doing that? You know, they always eat Nutella and they're, I don't know, eating unhealthy food, and now they're suddenly making advertisement for detox tea, for example, right? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, indeed. And that's why Donna, Jess, Ryan, and Tyler all chose Osaka, of course, because for their brand, because they have a connection, I hope, with the brand. Huh?
And it's a very cool brand.
Another question for you, because we're running out of time, and it's quite important. New social channels. So you've got tons of social channels popping up. The biggest one, for example, TikTok. Even Twitter seems to be coming back in a way, even though Zwi doesn't believe me. But I think I see a lot of people on Twitter and say, let's take TikTok, our new channels. Do you focus on one media, or should you diversify into different mediums?
Should I give a quick input on that, or
Yeah,
the players?
as well. If you go ahead first. Yeah.
So I think TikTok, first of all, I love TikTok. It's one of the best platforms to grow on quickly right now. So how Instagram was in its golden years, maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, TikTok is there now. So if you jump on TikTok right now and you have a niche, so that's something that you stick to, it's something that, say, I'm only going to do hockey tricks, right? And you stick to that and you post that consistently, you have a very big chance to actually grow quickly, a lot quicker than on Instagram. So definitely TikTok is a very powerful medium, and I would advise people to get on it rather earlier than later. But when you're choosing channels, make sure that you don't spread yourself too thin. So you can't say, I'm going to start blogging and I'm going to do Twitter and I'm also going to do YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. If you do that, you're probably going to end up doing nothing because you can't keep up with that. And obviously, we talked about it before. Make sure that you don't spend your entire day on social media either. So pick what is most relevant to you, and also pick the channels that the people that you want to reach are on. So if you say, I want to inspire, I don't know, 15-year-olds, then maybe you should be on TikTok rather than on Twitter. But if your ideal customer is customer or audience, or I don't know how to call them, but the people that it is that you want to inspire, if they're on Instagram, then maybe start with Instagram. So that's definitely a thing that you have to think about. But yeah, definitely TikTok is a real one. And is anyone on TikTok? Jess, I love it. Please tell us about your TikTok journey.
I'm on private, so no one can see me. I just do it for fun.
But it is it is a very fun platform.
I actually have a video of Jess doing a TikTok. It's hilarious.
But it's also funny because TikTok is making its way to Instagram, right? I mean, we're seeing so many TikTok videos on Instagram. It's the same with Twitter, right? Twitter is also coming so much to Instagram. Everyone's like reposting their tweets on Instagram. So yeah, I would definitely say, yeah, they're quite big, all three of them in a way.
Yeah. And Donna, what do you think?
No, I'm not on TikTok, but now I might join. But I am on Twitter just because obviously with the brands that I manage, some of them we do have to stay. I think Twitter is more of like a commentary sort of space where if you want to keep up with certain things, that's probably your best bet, especially when you're watching sports, or I know I always go onto Twitter for sports updates. But yeah, maybe I should start going on TikTok now. I'll have to go to Jess's house and get some tips.
Okay, very good. Okay, we're just about running out of time here. So I just want to go over a quick, if there's any questions that want to come in. Just before that, on Monday evening, we have Frederick Matla and Maureen Vane, and they're telling a story about their friendship and their hockey career. And on Wednesday evening, Ryan, is that correct? Wednesday evening, we have yourself and Emily Calderon talking.
Yeah, that's correct.
A little coaching corner. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
So tell us there what you're going to be talking about. Quick introduction.
We're going to be talking about the how to bring your message across as a coach, or in the case of Emily, as a analyst, and how the two of them can be brought together to create an effective team talk, brief and debrief from game to game, and how you would structure. We're going to try and take the people on a journey with us on how a tournament would go, or how we would move from game 1 to game 2 in a league setting or a tournament setting.
Very cool. Look forward to it. I look forward to it. Laura, any closing words for the people, or if there's any questions that want to come in here? We see a question here from Caroline Dubois. I see a lot of takeover account in stories in the US. I found it really nice. It's more authentic than feed.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. She says,
I think that's something that brands also start doing more, right? Like they ask, I mean, I can only speak for myself as Carlsberg, but I would love for one of our ambassadors to take over the Carlsberg Instagram for a day and just show the life of them, and obviously put some Carlsberg in there because you're obviously still a brand. But I think that's something that is really fun and makes a brand a lot more personal and a lot more human in a way. So definitely takeovers on Instagram stories are a really big one.
Okay, cool. Any other questions? Peter, Floor, anything from you guys? Yeah, Peter. Oh, go ahead.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, I have a question about the Instagram algorithm. Is there anything somebody knows about it? Laura, do you know how most of it works or not?
What is it that you want to know? Because there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, is there a specific thing about the algorithm? Because we know there are certain times we have to post, which works the best, for example.
Exactly. So first of all, when you have your Instagram account, you can switch to a professional account in your settings. So if you go to your Instagram profile, you can it's for free. You just go to your settings and you go to, I don't know, somewhere in accounts, and then you do switch to a professional account. Once you do that, you have so much insights and analytics into your Instagram account. That means that you can even see when your audience is online, which days and at which time. If you know that, you also know when you should post, because obviously the first hour that you post is always the most important one, because when you post on Instagram, if you're not going to get any likes or any comments for the first half an hour, then Instagram is not really going to push your content to as many people as they would when you immediately get high engagement. So definitely that's number one. Second of all, Instagram is still one of those mediums that still prefers it when you are active on there. So the more active you are on Instagram, the more you engage with other people, the more you start a conversation. But even in your DMs, right? Like talking and engaging with people for real, the more Instagram will show your content to those people, and the quicker you can grow. So you cannot expect to go on Instagram, post a picture, and not go on there for a week and for Instagram to make you famous. That's not really how it works. Instagram is still about a two-way communication and making sure that you also take the time to answer to comments, to engage with everything, and make it into a dialogue. So I think those are if you're wondering about when to post, go into your analytics by having a professional profile. And second of all, building engagement and reach is mainly through making it a community. There's a lot to say, right? I mean, there's even hashtags, right? I can talk about that for hours, about which hashtags to use to grow quicker. But I think the main thing is that Instagram is a social thing. And when you post, you should be social for the first half an hour that you're on it or so, to make sure that you spike your posts a bit.
Okay. Another thing, like, isn't it saturated at the moment, Instagram? As you told in the beginning, okay, 3 years
No,
ago,
I mean,
4 years ago, now there are so many people, you see a lot of the same content.
well, Instagram is definitely not in the golden years like TikTok is right now. Definitely, that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
growth is harder. But I always find it funny when influencers are like, oh my God, Instagram had an algorithm update. Now I can't grow. It doesn't work like that. Instagram makes an algorithm update so people can make more meaningful connections. That just means that you have to make sure that you create value and meaning to the people that are following you. If you're doing that, you're going to grow and you're going to continue growing. Maybe not 500 followers an hour, but well, unless you're really like a big time influencers, maybe they grow at that rate, but you can still grow. I mean, it's all about engaging and building a community, right? So it's different than it was, but I definitely think growth is still possible. I still see people growing an account from 0 to 1,000 followers in a month, like it's still possible. But these profiles are people that provide value to people following them. People have to have a reason why they want to follow you. And that reason is not, oh my God, look at me, pretty picture, I'm amazing. No, that reason is going to be you, your realness, and your value and what you can mean to them.
Cool.
So if you make it about the other person, they have a reason to follow you.
Okay, perfect.
Okay,
Thank
cool.
you.
Any other questions from, how about the Tevez girls? How do you get on?
No, we don't really have a question. We find it really interesting to learn how in other countries people also try to grow their accounts.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really nice to be here
You
with
guys
you.
are pretty active, huh, on Instagram?
Yeah, we tried. But it's true what Laura said. It's important to give a message to the audience. And yeah, we always try to find a message to give every time we post. And to be ourselves, not try to be someone else or just fake, as you said. Like if you are eating hamburgers every day, don't go for a detox things because it's not it's not how you are, and then people would see this is really fake. So it's important to be yourself and be real.
Cool. Okay. Cool. Okay, Laura, Jess, Donna, Tyler, Ryan, thanks so much for joining us. We're going to round up here. It was really cool.
Thank you very much.
Really cool to have you all on. I think there's some really good advice there. The one things that really stuck with me was creating and think about your brand purpose and your why, and also about posting honest content. I think that's super valuable advice. And for anyone that wants, we will put in the Instagram account links of all the athletes and Laura in the comments as well. Make sure to go check them out. You can get a lot of tips. And if you want, you can always send them a message for some further advice. This is also going out on the Osaka YouTube channel if you want to check it out again. So that's super. Thanks all for joining us. Laura, thanks a million for joining us, and we hope to see you all again soon.
Steven,
Likewise, it was really a pleasure.
Yeah.
We're gonna podcast this one.
We're gonna turn it into a podcast.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We
That's
already
cool.
have a channel, so we're gonna put it on there later.
Guys, that's also another trend in the social media scene. Starting your podcast. It's the #1 way to become an expert.
We're gonna try it again. No, indeed.
Follow Osaka World on Spotify, so you get notified when this will be up. So
really cool.
Nice to you.
Awesome. Really cool. Well, thanks so much. It was really lovely being here with all of you. And have a lovely day, evening, wherever you are and what time it is.
Thanks for joining us, South Africa as well, girls.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.